Hello, Spectrum Women. This is Becca Lory Hector. I am one of the authors of Spectrum Women, and as you guys know, today we are celebrating a year since the book has been published. And we're celebrating with some video answers to some of your questions. And so I have pulled out of the hat, I guess, 2 of the questions. So this will be my first, and then I'll share a second video with you guys with the second question's answer. Okay, as professional as I am, and as deeply as the sun is hitting my face right now, I will first read you the question, and then I will give my answer. Okay, here we go. The question was, I was diagnosed with ASD very recently, so I'm in the early stages of getting my head around it and learning all about it. On the whole, the diagnosis is a positive thing for me. One of the positives is that it is helping quiet down the negative voice in my head, telling me I'm no good at things. This may sound weird, but the negative voice is now telling me that perhaps they made a mistake, perhaps I'm not autistic. I am successful, and I don't feel some of the autistic traits as strongly as other ASD women do. And it doesn't help that someone close to me is a bit in denial about my diagnosis. A couple of well-meaning people have said things like, most people are a little on the spectrum, which makes me feel like my diagnosis is just diminished somehow. So my question is it just me? Has anyone else felt like this after their diagnosis? What helped you squash these thoughts? And that is from Anonymous in the UK. So Anonymous in the UK. Sorry. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So what we're really talking about is kind of... yes, we've all been through it, I guess. Let me start there. You're not alone. Yes, we all go through this place, especially those of us that get diagnosed late in life. It is a process to digest your diagnosis, for the people around you to digest your diagnosis, and kind of just for you to really absorb what that means to you in your life. So did I question my diagnosis afterwards? 100 million %. I was 36 years when I got diagnosed, so for 36 years nobody knew. So of course I questioned, how did I make it 36 years on this planet without somebody else saying, hey, by the way, you might have autism, instead of all these other things that we think you're struggling with. So I definitely questioned my diagnosis. I for sure did a lot of the compare, contrast with other people's memoirs, their blogs, what people had to say. And what I want to say to you, Anonymous in UK, and to anybody else who's dealing with this part of the diagnosis, is step away. Step away from all of it, because how you're interpreting other people's reactions to your diagnosis is much more about you and where you feel and how you feel in your diagnosis than any of those people who are saying that everyone's a little bit autistic and you don't look autistic, are you sure, and all those people that are sort of pushing you to question your reality. That's actually an abuse tactic when people force you to question your reality, so keep a lookout for it, because just because they're in denial doesn't mean you have to take that denial onto yourself. So when I got diagnosed, I spent an entire first year of my life processing that diagnosis, going to therapy every week, and working through what it meant to me to kind of come into this knowledge and how it affected me. And so for a lot of that beginning first year, I spent a lot of time in reverse order. I spent a lot of time in review of my life, I guess you could say, where I was looking for all of the places where autism had butted its ugly head with the world, and it was misinterpreted as something else. And I, once again, layered on another layer of trauma with every time that was happening. So I had to work through that a lot. So in the beginning, I would get annoyed, as you seem to be getting annoyed, when people said everybody's a little autistic, because that's just not true. You either are or you're not. You can't get it a little bit, just like you can't be a little bit pregnant, right? And so that's that piece. And so I say to you, Anonymous in the UK, you're going to be questioning a lot of things for the next little bit, at least the next few years. And you'll see autism in everything. You're going to see autism in all the people you meet and all the kids. You're like, hey, I wonder if that parent knows. And for some reason, once we become out and proud and kind of knowledgeable and accepting of our own diagnosis, you'll notice that people, all of a sudden, autism will come up in conversations all over the place and things like that. And you'll feel like it's chasing you a little bit. But that's the way it is. It's sort of like begets like. So once you are comfortable in your autism, the other people who are questioning or are looking for answers or seeking someone to kind of, I don't know, answer their questions or see their side of things, you become that person. So I say, Anonymous in the UK, you are not alone. We all go through this. It's going to be another couple of years before you stop seeing autism and everything. But the way to get past this piece of questioning your diagnosis and to ward off the negative self-talk is to really explore why you're questioning that. Is it voices from somebody else, or is it your own voice? When you heard your diagnosis, or at least when I heard mine, everything fell into place. It was like, oh, well, now everything makes sense. And that won't feel that way if it's not your diagnosis. So what I like to say is it's your knowledge and your comfort that matters the most. It's whether you feel like disclosing your diagnosis, discussing it with anybody, or kind of just, living through it. But I say process it. Definitely make sure you spend the time with you. Learn your needs, learn your likes, learn all of those really, really good things, because that'll make all the difference in the world.